Hello everyone, my name is Freya and welcome back to another What Your Zodic Heavy Weapon Says About You. This time, as said in the title, we're now on to heavies. Next time will be subclass. But before we get in, I'd like to say, can we hit 500 subs? We are so close. But first up is the Prospector. If you use Prospector, you either love putting the raid banner in the most awkward of places so your teammates can never reach it, or you just love a good old cowboy gun, and you also tend to love grenade launchers. Having them combined, though, is just perfect for you. Next up is Warcliffe Coil. If you're using Warcliffe on a regular basis, you're an OG Destiny 2 vanilla player. You use this thing to cheese Callus back in the day. You've probably got every single ornament. You bring into every activity you can. You do not see a point when other weapons are the meta to just not use Warcliffe because you still think it will do better. You use it for a mix of aglet and non-aglet. Now, if Tractor Cannon is your go-to and you're a PvE player, you're most likely just the div person that's now been turned over to a tractor person. You want to use other weapons, but you know your team will not get a proper suppress and debuff on the enemy otherwise, so you just feel stuck to use it. And you're okay with that. You've given up and just agreed. And if you're using Legends of Acreus, Crown of Sorrow has your favorite final raid boss. You loved using this against Gulrun because it actually worked, especially against his deceptions. But now you just want it to have a place in the meta again. Every time we get a slight shotgun buff for PvE, you look at this thing and go, finally. But it never really is. But it does work quite well. And if you're using Darcy, do you actually exist, or are you just a PvP YouTuber using it as a measuring stick to teach your fan base about it? And Colony, what can I say except you love finding bugs in the game. And it's ironic that this shoots out bugs because the amount of times Bungie seems to forget about this gun. People think Telesto is the most broken, but no. This thing just keeps doing random glitches. It negates shields half the time because Bungie hasn't coded it properly. You love that. You mess around. You used to cheese every encounter you could. If Worldline Zero is your go-to, you are an ex-speedrunner, or a modern-day speedrunner who misses the past. You want this thing to be better than Eager Edge, but you know that sadly isn't the case anymore. We all miss it. You missed the quest to get it. That was fun. You missed going around on Mars, just doing little nodes everywhere. You probably also are a sleeper main for when it comes to DPS. And if this is your go-to, you love anything to do with Clovis Bray. You love Siva and all that, so you run the Siva ornament. Your favorite mission in the game is 0 hour for when it comes to primaries, but that won't stop you from using Sleeper instead. You want the linear meta to come back in the game, but you know it won't now. It's too late. It's had its time. And if Whisper of the Worm is your go-to, use Black Hammer back in Destiny 1, and then you just kept using the new innovations of this gun every single time. You probably attempted day 1 Last Wish, beat Morgif, and then couldn't get past Vault. But you took a shot and you tried. Or you sit there and just reminisce to everyone about how good the mission was. If 1K is your favourite, it's only because you love drawing stupid lines in the ground to damage enemies. That, or Last Wish, you have multiple completions of, and you will never shut up about it. You want there to be another Last Wish raid. That's why you've pre-ordered Final Shape. You're hoping the raid's that good. It better be that good for you. Or else you're going to go to Twitter and complain. And if you're using Two-Tailed Fox, you try to say to everyone that this is the best rocket for DPS when it's not. But your only reasoning is that it can jolt, suppress, and burn. You got the catalyst as soon as possible. You love messing around. And I'm going to assume that you listen to anime music whilst you play Destiny. And if Black Talon is your go-to, I don't actually know what to say to you, other than you have a really cool looking exotic that you main. This gun, no, not this gun, this sword just never finds any use in the game, sadly. You love caster frames as well, but you just don't see them to be as good. And if you love Queensbreaker, you're a Gambit player who misses when it was the best for Gambit. Now you most likely use Isa tomorrow, but every once in a while you log back to use Queensbreaker. And if you're a Thunderlord main, you're a dad gamer. You load into Root of Nightmares every Tuesday because that's the only time you can play for an hour and a half. You use Thunderlord to DPS Nezareg, and you hate when everyone says to use a rocket. Rockets are too hard. Anything else in this game is too hard to actually learn how to aim and shoot properly without killing yourself. So you have to use Thunderlord. And if you're using it outside of a raid from DPS, you probably just use it because it's got overload intrinsic, and that's the only reason people tend to use it otherwise. If you're an Anarchy main, you want them to bring back Scourge of the Past, or you want a catalyst for this. You hated when Breach and Clear got nerfed. You hated when this got nerfed, even more so though. And believe me, I'm with you. This was my main for so long. I feel that pain. And if you're a Truth main, you used it in Destiny 1. You have multiple clips of the tracking finding someone halfway across the map when you're not even, like, you've died 2 rounds ago now, but you still love it. And if Leviathan's Breath is your main, you're a PC player. You have high frames, and you rave on about how it does the best DPS, but you don't think about how it doesn't help for console players and stuff who can't actually get it to break the game and do that DPS. You're using Xenophage though. Pit of Heresy is your favorite dungeon. You probably have helped multiple people get this done, and you despise when it gets to the quest of just doing the lost sectors because it's a bit annoying until the end. If Deathbringer is your favorite gun, you just love the quest, and you love shooting it in the sky and watching it fall down onto the enemies. I can't really disagree though. It's quite fun to use, surprisingly. I haven't used it until after the Catalyst came out, and not too bad. I ended up using it for a few rounds. I can understand why you'd like it, but my god, it's not the DPS god like you'd want it to be. And if you use it, you know that. You know it's not the best out there, but you see it for what it's for. It's fun. If you're using Heir Apparent, you're probably just using it for PvP most likely. You know how good the Overshield is, and if you're using it outside of PvP, you're using it for some niche random GM strike. That's it. There's no other reason to use it. If Salvation's Grip is your favorite exotic, you love outer boundsing. You'll probably try and find every outer bounds when new seasons come out. You live at the gravity pools. I know you don't use it for that, but you just sit there and wait for your friends to come online. And if Isa tomorrow is your go-to, you're most likely also a Gambit player who just happened to join a little bit later. You ran Deepstone 100+ times to get this to drop, but it only just recently came to you. And if Lament is your favourite, you just adore swords as a whole. You want every sword to be better. You want more exotic swords, and I can't blame you. You've probably tried running this in GMs multiple times just to see that, yeah, it's good, but it's just not the most consistent because who wants to get that close in a GM? And you forgave it for that. You now use it for DPS. If Galahorn is your go-to, like the thumbnail, you're basic. You're a dad gamer, but for rockets. You should play the game just a little bit more. That, or you're an OG Destiny 1 player who has used this thing since then. That's the only other reasons I can really think you use it. Or you've also become like the tractor person and just use it so you can help everyone else. There's no real other reason to use it. It's fun, it's iconic, but it's not the best out there. And we all know that now. If you are using Parasite, you love how broken this thing was at one point. You use it just so you can watch a boss get melted, and you hope Bungie secretly buffs it by accident. You probably bring it into every encounter, but it's just not as strong as you want it to be. It would never be as strong as you want it to be. If it's not one-shotting something at 20 charges, you do not care. But you secretly wish it will for every time. You don't care if it's unbalanced. You just want that. And when you come and do Deepstone Crypt, if Grand Overture is the Zodic you're using, you either love just how weirdly designed the normal base form is, or you use it because it's actually a bit of a sleeper when it comes to DPS. And if you're using Heart Shadow, I would love to say what you are, but I don't know. I can only assume that you are a Invis Hunter who throws down your melee or dodges just so you can get a bonus to this Exotic at all times. But I cannot really tell anyone anything else about it because I don't have it yet. It is the only exotic other than two of the glaives, like exotic glaives, that I am missing. I would love to actually have a proper say on this, but I can't say. And if you're using deterministic chaos, I don't actually know about you. You probably love nanotech and stuff in movies. Your favorite superhero is probably Iron Man, and that's just because he gets nanotech later on. You sit there and you've tried every activity with this. It's never been the best. It's never been the worst. Finally, Winterbite. If you're using this, you probably use the Trident Ornament, and you try to make yourself a deep sea diver sort of character who uses this and a second glaive, that or your toast movie, and you're just doing glaives for a raid. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and sub. Maybe even comment down below what your most used exotic is. I'll see you all next video. Peace.